My religion says that being gay, bi, trans, lesbian is a sin.
Your religion also says that having sex during your period is a sin. How come you ignore that? Your religion also says that eating bacon is a sin. How come you ignore that? Your religion also says eating lobster is a sin. Cutting the sides of your hair is a sin. Wearing clothes made out of mixed fabrics is a sin. Getting a tattoo is a sin. A man trimming the edges of his beard is a sin. It says a woman is not to hold any position of authority and is to be quiet. That if a woman is not a virgin on her wedding night, she is to be stoned to death. And that planting two different kinds of seeds in the same field is a sin. But that's too hard for you, so you've decided that God didn't mean any of that, he only meant the being gay part. Listen, if you're going to spread hatred towards others by quoting the Bible at them, make sure that you first follow the entire thing, or shut the entire f*** up.
Okay, if you're going to criticize what Christians believe, you should, at the very least, understand what Christians believe. Unfortunately, this video demonstrates a lack in basic biblical understanding. Let me explain. This video makes it seem like Christians arbitrarily pick and choose the commandments they like while ignoring the commandments they don't. The problem is this all hinges on a fundamental confusion between the Old Testament rules and the New Testament rules. The Old Testament contains the Mosaic Law. These were laws given by God through Moses to the chosen people of Israel. That part's really important. This was part of what we call the Old Covenant. It was like a contract between two parties, God and the Jews. New Testament Christians don't live under the Old Covenant. They're under a different covenant. When Jesus came, he fulfilled the requirements of the law and established a new covenant through his death and resurrection. Under this covenant, bacon and shellfish, for example, are back on the menu. And it's not because we're arbitrarily picking and choosing which commands to follow. No, it's because we're following the commands that apply to us. Now, there are some universal moral laws in the Old Testament that are repeated in the New Testament, and that's because these things are wrong for all times and all places. For example, murder, stealing, and adultery were all prohibited in the Old Testament, and they're also prohibited in the New Testament. Therefore, Christians are obligated to obey these commands. Likewise, homosexual behavior is prohibited in both Testaments. So, pointing out how Christians fail to follow a bunch of temporal Mosaic laws only reveals a lack in understanding of how the covenants work. The Mosaic law was limited to a time and nation, but morality is not. In other words, Christians follow the moral law, not the Mosaic law.